I think it's up to the oil companies who've been scared to death to come public because they don't want things to have more retribution their way. It's incumbent on them to stand up and let everybody know. You know your industry inside and out. I don't have a problem with you earning a profit. Number one, if you're not gouging, let everyone know you're not gouging. Number two is tell us in very fundamental terms, because we're not in the business, what you're doing with those permits and those leases, and tell them the reality of potentially what you could be doing if the government would unleash it. Everybody would cover it, the networks would carry it, and this would be the pushback on everything that the spokesperson for President Biden is saying.
Would they cover it? Because I think we would cover it and mention the other side of the story, but most of the rest of the media, watch them find a way to make it Putin's price hike. They'll just say that's the flax for the oil and gas industry, pushing their industry line. But everything you're saying is correct. The difference.
Yeah, except that it's not. He is literally asking for oil company flax to come forward and say that they didn't do anything wrong. That was exactly what he was asking for, Pete Hegseth. But take a look. Look, there's some specific parts of what Brian Kilmeade says that I have a problem with, but it's more so the vibe. He is speaking directly to oil companies, which I don't generally see. We don't do that here. If I were to, I would say, I don't know, Exxon, go F yourself. I don't know. But he's giving advice to them. He's continually reassuring them that he has their back. I don't mind when you make a profit, whether you're price gouging or not. Who's to say, actually you're to say, you should come forward and say it. Like they have been trying to pretend that the most important issue in America right now is rising gas prices. And yet when it comes to doing something about it, they are 100% on the side of the people that are getting away with making billions of dollars during record high prices, Brett.
This is hilarious. This is the theme you need to take away from this is Fox News, specifically Fox and Friends, never talks to their audience or anyone like a human being talks to another human being. In the morning on Fox News, and especially on Tucker Carlson, it's always them talking to their audience like they're children. And when they talk to oil execs, it's like they're talking to the person who also gives them their allowance. It's like, if it's not too much trouble, golly gee, like I gotta walk this line between like not alienating this faux populism we have at the network, but also like I know that when we go to break, it's gonna be like some kind of weird hemorrhoid medication commercial followed by like 3 oil company commercials. So if you could be so kind as to advertise here, that would be great. If you could, sir, please, sir.
Yeah. Like tell us whether you're price gouging. What are you talking about? I don't need nor do I care about their opinion on it. The price has gone massively up. They're making more money than ever. What would price gouging be if not that? The price is up, they're benefiting. It's not just covering additional costs, they're profiting more. This is not a complicated equation.
And this is exactly the case for progressivism. Progressivism, for me, pragmatic progressivism, is looking at times when there's some kind of a failure or alienation of a disenfranchised group, and you have to have some kind of mechanism to eliminate the corruption that creates that problem. And in this situation, the corruption that creates that problem is the oil companies seeing what they can get away with. And the disenfranchised group is everyone who needs to buy gas. And in the meantime, my proof that they are price gouging and they don't actually care about finding a price people would, a reasonable price that people will still pay, is the record profits they're making. And if it's not revenue, obviously revenue would go up, but they're making record profits, which means this is just fake price points that we have to pay.
Exactly, that's all it is. And they do not actually have a problem with that. Like if I can get through to you on one thing, it is that this is performative. They're perfectly fine with the price being high because they support that industry making ever increasing amounts of profits. And we're gonna talk about those profits now. We gotta get into this, we're running low on time.
Okay, last thing is, in New York, if you're on a news broadcast, someone comes and picks you up at your house. You never have to drive yourself. Those folks never once, and I know this for a fact, never once have to drive to the office. So those Fox and Friends, they have a chauffeur who drives them places. They are so wildly detached.
Yes, meanwhile, I've tried to get Brett to drive me to work, but so far he won't. Anyway, so what do we do? Well, the Democrats actually do have an idea. If the problem is that gas prices are high, here's one idea of how you can fix it. And by the way, the gas prices are high. We can all agree about that. Up to $4.31 per gallon on Thursday, according to AAA. Different groups have different estimates, but it's high regardless. You know what else is high? The amount of profits coming to these companies. So pre-tax profits this year for ConocoPhillips, Chevron, ExxonMobil, Hess, and Devon Energy are expected to increase by 43, 39, 28, 56, and 47% respectively. Those are very significant climbs, thus the claims of price gouging. Anyway, the Democrats have a plan. You're all making a ton of money exploiting this situation that's going on right now. How about we use a little bit of that money to actually help people? So they came out with a bill just yesterday to tax the largest oil companies and use the money to provide quarterly checks to Americans. It's almost like the Alaskan model. So the legislation would only apply to large firms like ExxonMobil that produce or import over 300,000 oil barrels per day. So really small companies are not going to be affected by this. It's a 50% tax that would be imposed on the difference between the current price of a barrel and the average price between 2015 to 2019. Representative Ro Khanna and Sheldon Whitehouse are the main sponsors for this, but people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and others are behind it as well. So what would happen is tax filers making under $75,000 for an individual and double that for couples would get at $120 per barrel, about $240 a year. Joint filers would get about $360, and that would help to subsidize a bit of the extra cost of paying for your own fuel. It's an interesting idea. So far, a lot of Republicans don't seem particularly interested. Also, Joe Manchin didn't respond to a request for comment from Insider. I wonder what position he's going to take on it. Brett, what do you think?
He said that he'd be fine paying 10 cents extra for gas if it meant doing the right thing abroad.
What about here? What about doing the right thing here?
He says that he would be fine with us paying 10 cents extra for gas. So technically, he's on the side of doing whatever we need to do abroad and punishing people back home. And he completely in doing that, he tries to oversimplify and mischaracterize the problem, which is price gouging and record profits. Maybe it won't come down to that exact amount of difference being like 10 cents extra that they're price gouging us, but still it's wildly insane that they aren't even trying. When you hear record profits, when you're having record troubles, that's the problem.
Exactly. By the way, a lot of these oil companies, like between 2015 and 2022, got 1.95 together collectively in domestic taxes back. Like they had negative taxes for years and years and years. So when people tell you that this proposal is radical, what do you think the status quo is?
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.